It's on vinyl and vision.
Hi folks, welcome to the show. Jimmy Drab, your host, and my guests tonight are the duo that make up the band Bedtime Magic. It's Nicholas Pentabona and Morgan Berns. It's a super fun conversation to have with these guys. These guys are fucking ball busters. They're not only extremely knowledgeable and very talented musicians, but they're crafty and clever and fun. And it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with them. A little bit of a unique situation tonight because of the record that they chose. So for those people who are not familiar with the show exactly, what we do is we take an artist and then we ask them, hey, what makes you tick? What's an album? Can you name one album that you can name as an influence that you think was a very important record to you? Something along those lines. And they chose the album Battle Hymns for a New Republic by the band Plate 6. So if you're not familiar with that band or that record, I don't blame you. It's a fairly obscure record. It came out in 2005 on Bent Rail Foundation Records, I believe is what it's called. And there's very little information about that record out there floating around on the internet and so forth. So it was very hard to do this episode. And what makes it unique is that it was so difficult to find information that I felt kind of obligated to reach out to the band Plate 6, try to find some of those members, try to track them down, and ask them about the record, because the only way to get any information about it, really. So I have to say thank you to David Hickox, because I found him and messaged him, and he was able to provide me with a little bit of information. Fault is on me that I did not leave enough time to get enough before I was able to have this conversation with the guys in Bedtime Magic. But it's super intriguing. I mean, it's a great record, and it was a pleasure to try to get into it and try to analyze it with even as little information as I had. And so David was a very nice guy, and I hope to follow up with him and kind of catch up with him in the future and find out exactly what happened. Because the band broke up. That's essentially all that I really know. But they had gone on to do other things. Some of the members of that band, David Hickox, Daryl Jackson, Brad Davis. And I don't know. We'll find out. I'll find out for you folks. But I just want to say thank you to him and a little bit of I'm sorry, because, the conversation that I had with the gentlemen in Bedtime Magic, Morgan and Nicholas, we speculated a lot, because that's essentially kind of all we had to go off of. And if we did not speculate correctly, I'm sorry to those folks of that band, Plate 6. But like I said, I will try to follow up and maybe get some more better, accurate information. But if we speculated incorrectly, I'm sorry. I don't know. You'll hear it in the show if you listen. So by all means, listen to the whole thing, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. We'll try to follow up with those gentlemen. In the meantime, Bedtime Magic is an awesome band from Boston. Just a two-piece noise rock band. Don't know exactly how you want to describe it. Hardcore, thrash, grindcore. Super loud, blisteringly so, and super interesting. Great, talented individuals in that band. And if you can, go see them. They're performing on Thursday night at O'Brien's in Boston, or Halston maybe, to be more accurate. And it's actually the official release of the split that they have done with a band called Greylock, which is being released on Tor Johnson Records. It's available now on cassette. We talk about it a little bit in the show. So that is the show that they are doing for that release. And then, of course, the brand new full-length record that they are releasing, or it actually is currently available now, and it's currently in the vinyl pre-order status through Bandcamp. Links will be provided for those things. So you buy the record now. Due to vinyl record production delays, we don't know when it will officially arrive, but you can get the full-length download now, so you can listen to the whole thing. And then the vinyl will show up when it shows up, and it'll be like a pleasant surprise. It'll be like, yay, a record. They also have are participating in a compilation for it's a benefit for the band Shallow North Dakota, who have as of now it wasn't originally the intention, but now it is benefiting one of the members who has lost his battle with cancer, and the proceeds of that album will be going to the family. So if you're interested in supporting in that way, you can also do that. Links will be provided. I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for showing up and listening. We ask that you please do all the things you do with the internet, if you can. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Find us on Instagram and Facebook and all that other happy horse shit, social media stuff, if you want to find out more updates. And it's getting close to the end of the year. Holidays are amongst us. I hope you all have a happy one, and I will actually be back here next week with a brand new episode. And then the week after that with another one. It's crazy. It's the time of the year to give, so I'm giving. Thank you very much, folks, for listening, and enjoy the show. Oh yeah, this works out well. Your camera just kind of comes right in when you talk.
Oh, good.
So whoever's talking, you're gonna see the face is gonna pop up.
Oh, I like
faces.
Here I am.
There you go. See, look at that. That worked perfectly. So guys, this is very cool to be speaking with you both. I've been listening to your new record a lot, and it's pretty awesome.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. Thank you.
The latest Between the Sheets, which you sent me a copy of. Thank you very much for it. I appreciate
no worries,
it,
man.
So, what do you want to tell me about this new record? Because I was listening to a lot of the stuff you have off Bandcamp. I want to get into a couple things. I want to get into the new record, and you also have a new split out with Greylock.
Yeah, that's correct. We planned that split for a while, but then the pandemic happened and everything, and there was just a lot of choices we had to make timing wise, and then we talked to Paul from Tor Johnson, and he was like, I really, really, really want to put it out, but also business is slow because of the pandemic.
Right.
So what would you guys think about doing a tape? And we were like, yeah, we'll do a tape. That sounds fine.
Cool. Yeah. So when was that material recorded for the split?
We recorded in 2 sessions. So we had done the first session we did before pandemic started. So that would have been like the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Right. And so we sent the Greylock guys our stuff, and they sent us their stuff, and like they did like 5 songs, and it was like what 20 minutes worth of music or something like that.
It's
and we
like
did
23 minutes, yeah.
Right, and we did 5 songs, and it was like 2.5 minutes.
We did 3 songs, and it was like 2.5 minutes. And Paul was like, "There's literally no way I'm going to put out something that's 2.5 on one side." And
right.
23.
So we were like, all right, cool. We'll go back. We'll record some more songs. So we did like another couple songs. Which made it like 8 minutes total,
Yeah, so I think that's what I was getting, because like I've been listening to the digital copy because I didn't get the tape yet, but I know that your songs tend to be a little short, but you had a couple of longer ones on there. I mean, like, and so Paul was trying to explain it to me because I spoke with him recently, and he was telling me about that dilemma where, like, your songs are so short that like you couldn't fill up the second side in comparison to what Greylock was giving you, or giving him at least.
Yeah.
So what was the solution? You just basically wrote more material?
No.
Because you have 5 tracks listed on the Bandcamp.
Yeah.
But the cassette release is going to be different. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
Should we give away the secret, Nicholas?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping you would do it because I'm always the one.
So basically, on our side, the whole thing plays forward like regular, and then at some point, it starts to play backwards. So it's the whole thing plays all the way forward and then all the way backwards. But like the way it ended up getting mixed, it's really hard to tell like where that flip happens.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Wait, but so is the track listing different on the digital than it will be on the tape? Because there's 5 songs on the digital.
Yeah,
right. So there's basically
songs,
there's really only 5 songs if you listen to it forward, but like it's basically 5 songs are played twice, once forward and once backwards.
Oh, all right. Because like there's one long song. You have one song that's like 3 minutes long.
Right.
Okay, I thought that was going to be like the end track because Paul was telling me about this thing. I was just like, oh, it must be that one because that's the one that kind of ends with like a weird like breakdown, right, or like a kind of droney thing. But okay, so it's all 5, and then it just reverses.
It just reverses. So if you stand on your head, it'll sound like it's playing forward again.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's the benefit to physical media, right?
Yeah.
Because like now the people that buy the tape, well, that's the only way you're going to hear that.
Right.
Correct.
Because the digital release doesn't have it.
No, and I think the tape will sound better overall. Like we mixed this for tape, we mastered this for tape. It's got the warmth of the tape. When you listen to the digital version, it's good. It's a little crispy, but what that tape evens it out quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. Oh, cool. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it. Yeah, because I'm not a huge tape fan. I mean, like I have some tapes, and obviously there's a kind of resurgence in popularity in cassettes now.
Yeah.
Like it basically, if you can't afford to do a vinyl or you're not ready or prepared to do something like that, like you make a tape.
Yeah.
No one makes CDs anymore.
Right.
Which is weird because CDs are so big in Europe. Like we have this German fan base, and they're always like, "When are the CDs coming out?" And we're like, "What?"
Right. Just burn it yourself. Although computers don't even come with CD players anymore half the time.
No, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the dilemma. We're stuck in the middle somewhere. Like I thought I was technologically advanced like 10 years ago, and then it all just switched on me, and now it's just like I can't do anything properly. I can't listen to music in my car properly because now I can't bring those tapes that I used to have.
Right.
Like even the new car, my wife's newest car, like doesn't have a CD player in it, so I can't even put CDs in the car.
Same here, and I got a CD and I brought it in her car, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Sing the songs to yourself.
I guess.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's crazy, but whatever. I mean, hey, I guess there's enough people that convert it over to one way or another that whatever media you put out, someone will buy it.
Right.
Well, so tell me about your love of vinyl records, because that's essentially what we're here to talk about, right?
Yeah.
You're both big fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I arrived at that. I didn't start with the idea of vinyl records, but I ended up there because I used to be a nanny, and the house that I lived at, they had a big fire, and the whole place burnt to the ground, and they had to rebuild.
Jesus.
And there was a roofer that left a light on at the top of the house, and it burnt down. So,
wow.
So anyway, they burnt down. The fire department had come. They sprayed everything, whatever. And then while I was living there, they gave me a box of vinyl records that had a little bit of water damage, but the records played perfectly. And I had CDs that I got in like '97 that were all just flaking apart. They didn't work anymore. The cases were crunched. And I was like, huh. And I had tapes that I liked, but tapes are very, they're impractical because they're so based on a mechanical structure. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but like you don't have like a magnetic head to read all the time. And I don't know. I got into records through that method, through like this Prince record I have over here, a couple big band records. And I was in my 20s, borderline 30s, so it was pretty late in the game, but now I'm committed to it. Because it weathers, it weathers things very well as opposed to tapes and CDs. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of like any other media. Like, you have to take care of it to a degree. I mean, they're pretty resilient, but you do kind of need to do some maintenance with it. Like, it's a little bit more, like a little bit more so than any other media. CDs, we used to chuck them around just like freaking. Like, I remember seeing this at like a kid's house. Like, I would go over to his house, and I never had CDs because I was like too poor to buy CDs. And I just remember seeing he had a stack on his desk, just fucking messy stack.
That, yeah.
I was just like, oh man, why don't you put those back in the case? Like, they're gonna get scratched up. He's just like, oh, it doesn't matter. They're resilient, But sure enough, if you do scratch them enough, like, yeah, they won't play. Yeah. So, I don't know.
You can't get anything to happen on a CD once it gets scratched. You gotta hit the track button, and then it says like unreadable, or it says disc not read. And where with a vinyl record, you just move the arm, and you're like, well, guess I'm not listening to Zeppelin 3's first track anymore. But
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But see, I'm a seller. So I have to be a little bit more, like thoughtful in that process. Like I listen to so many records because I just preview everything that I get.
Yeah.
So, because I don't want to sell someone that's got a bunk track and then they'll be pissed off about it.
But once you listen to it, does that bring down the grading?
Well, I mean, I'll grade it, based on what I hear.
Based on the listen, okay.
Because it's like, I got a whole bunch of jazz stuff right now, like a bunch of old jazz records, and I'm like, some of them are actually kind of valuable, but like some of them don't play great, but at the same time, especially for that era, like some 50s and early 60s jazz, it's just like you kind of can't get those to play perfectly anymore. Like most of them, unless they've been really well maintained for all of these years, like they're gonna have some static, some surface noise.
I like the surface noise,
and I know, and some people really do. But like technically, it's not supposed to be there. Like technically, you need to clean your records, and they'll actually sound. You won't get that. You won't get that crackle at all. Supposedly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everyone's different, kind of.
I got a little bit of tinnitus anyhow, so like a lot of the like super high fidelity stuff, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like there's a hum already happening there, so it's probably fine.
Right.
For me, with the records, I was fortunately or unfortunately sort of born into it. My pop collected records, and this is before tapes and CDs and all of that stuff, right. And so there was tons of music always happening in my house, and like so I Run DMC, the first Run DMC record, I think was the first like record that was like my record. We went to the record store. Me and my dad, we went to J&M Music in Manhattan, and I got the first Run DMC record. Like that was mine.
Yeah. How old were you then?
I was like 7 or 8. Okay. And right around the same time, like Michael Jackson Thriller. I got that on a picture disc. I think I got that for my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I still have it too. And I still have like the first 3 Run DMC records. They're great. But so it was always, that was just like, like tapes. I remember I got into heavy metal when I was like 10 or 11, and that's when I started getting tapes. But that was just because I was like, they were cheaper at that point.
Oh, right.
And I remember you could like, everything switched over. There was all those like the music club thing, like you send them a penny or whatever, and then you could get you could get 8 cassette tapes, right? And then you're on the hook. You had to pay them like $50 like later down the road, and right. I don't know if I ever actually paid them the money I owed them.
Yeah, I don't. Most of us got away with it, I think.
Right, but it was. I always just bought records. That was like how you played music. Right. And then, like I got into heavy metal, and from that ended up getting into skateboarding, and then got into punk rock, and like, punk rock, that was like, like if you got a band's demo tape, that would be, you get it on cassette, but like everything else was like 7 inches, like
7 inches. That was a big thing for me.
Right. And so that's just like, for me, like I got some CDs and stuff, but I like did the same thing like your friend did. Like I would just have a pile of them, like
right.
They'd end up, I'm kind of a slob, so they would like end up on the floor of my room. I'd walk on them, like, whereas like a record, I had to put it away,
Yeah.
like I couldn't just like throw it on the floor. Like that wasn't going to work,
No.
Yeah. So it's like always been records.
Yeah.
Like people, I don't know. I'm sure you hear people are like, well, but it's like making a comeback. Like it never went anywhere, like there's always been, like
right.
Always been happening.
If you wanted records throughout, ever since like, I assume we're all around the same age, like, early 40s.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Ding,
so
ding,
like,
ding. Yeah.
Right. So, so in the 80s, growing up, like, yeah, I mean, there was still vinyl records around, and most of, like, I wasn't buying records or music until I was in my, my teens, so in the 90s. And by that point, yeah, vinyl records, there were a few of them, but if you really wanted one, you could find them, And it's really weird, because now in the collector's realm, all the music that came out in the 90s on vinyl, they made such limited runs of them because they weren't selling for the most part, that now those are really valuable.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just the way the market works. It's so weird. Collectors.
So what about Q Lazarus's Goodbye Horses? If I had that on vinyl.
Oh, I don't even know that. What is that?
It was the song that played behind Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Goodbye Horses.
Oh.
When he's like, doing the whole dance thing. Anyway, that came out on vinyl. Yeah. It was supposed to be one of those dance club hits, and so they put it out on vinyl. But obviously that movie made it so everybody's freaked out by it.
Right.
I've seen it on vinyl on like Discogs and stuff, but I didn't see any kind of pricing with it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's got to be there. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I could look it up right now if you really wanted me to.
Just on my mind, because people say 90s vinyl, they usually think Soundgarden, Nirvana, but...
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like a Paul Abdul.
Right, I mean, because, like, think about it. I mean, when Nirvana came out in 92-ish, like, with Nevermind...
Yeah.
It was 91-ish. I can't remember exactly what year.
Yeah.
But
no, 92. I think you're right. I think 91 was the year they recorded. 92 was the year that they released.
That it was released. Okay. Well, either way, like, so that era, I'm sure they pressed some in the 90s, but like I said, just not a lot. So if somebody at that time in the 90s was interested in it enough to buy it on vinyl, I mean, those vinyl copies are now like really valuable. Nirvana especially. I mean, Nirvana's just stupid. Like, most of their stuff is, crazy valuable. Like, those early bleach pressings are stupid. There's like thousands of dollars for one of those.
Really?
Yeah, the first run is like on a white vinyl back from 89.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then like I was actually just talking about Nirvana's bleach with another guest from Anxious Wave, Brandon St. Pierre.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and so one of the facts that I found was that Love Buzz, the single off Bleach, was the first single to be released by the Sub Pop Singles Club. And so if that original pressing, they only pressed 1,000 of, like, one just sold in February for like just under $4,000.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it's stupid. What, do you guys like live together or something? You don't live together, right?
No.
You just always at each other's places.
He's not invited in my house.
We both have Venetian blinds. That's
not true. That's not true. I'm not even in my house right now.
That's right. You're in.
We went out of town for the weekend, so I'm actually at like a vacation rental in Provincetown.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and so wait, so you're on vacation right now? I'm taking you away from your vacation time?
Not really. My kid's already asleep. Okay. My wife's reading her book, which is like what she wants to do on vacation.
Oh, she wants a break from you anyway.
He loves talking about records too, so this is a treat. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we were going to talk about your records first a little bit. So the new record is coming out. It's already pre-selling right now, right?
Yeah, it's a tricky time.
Right, because of the pandemic backing up all the vinyl record plants.
Yeah, and the guys who are putting it out, Forbidden Place Records, I guess sort of out of Denver, out of the Midwest, like one of the guys is moving, but they usually do their records through New Orleans record pressing, but because stuff was backed up with the pandemic and then the hurricane, like that happened a couple months ago. I guess that totally messed stuff up as well, because like they couldn't get, they couldn't get stuff in or out for a little while.
Right.
And we heard that Taylor Swift bumped like basically everybody. She decided she wanted to release her whole catalog or something on vinyl, and so like. Not to tell stories out of school or whatever, but I think the Forbidden Place guys were like pretty pissed because they had already paid for like multiple records to be pressed through them that they were waiting on. And like all of that got bumped so that they could press like, millions of Taylor Swift records.
Right.
So like our record, they're sort of like, we can probably press it in 2022. Probably.
Well, 2022 is just right around the corner.
Right.
But late
like
2022.
they won, you know, like I think we can't get like an actual month
Right.
from the pressing plant.
They won't
you know?
they won't give you a date because they don't want to like be beholden to something.
Yeah, because
and then
what if
let you
Creedence
down.
Clearwater Revival wants to do a 3 LP set?
Of
They
course,
got to
they're
leave
going to
the
go
door
for
open
it.
for them. Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
Right.
They go where the money takes them. You know, I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So we got to do the same thing. Unfortunately, is like we're we're pre-selling it, and we're going to send people like either T-shirts or cassettes if they you know pre-order it. When we'll sell it, we'll send that to them like long before we get the records.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to sort of tell people like we don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
we could get it next month, or it could be a year from now.
Right.
Right. They won't give us a date, so we can't promise a date either, you know?
It's true. No, man, I know. I mean, well, hey, you're not alone, you know, thankfully. I mean, it's not a great situation for anybody to be in, but at least it's not like anyone's going to look down at you guys being like, these guys fucked me. I just bought their their record and I'm not getting it. Haven't had it for a year.
Right.
I mean, we're going to be seeing that with everybody. Anybody that's buying independent music at all on vinyl. That's what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all like we had to they put it all over the listing like hey, you're agreeing if you pre-order it, like we'll get it to you, but don't bust their balls about it. Like there's nothing we can do, you know?
Well, they put that there because people were busting their balls about the other stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, people are just going to have to get. They're just going to have to get on board, man. They're just going to have to realize it's just like if I'm buying music at all on vinyl this year, this is what's going to happen. It's just what's going to happen. You know, it's unavoidable. So, let's see. So we were supposed to be talking about a record that you guys chose. Now, I'm curious. You guys, you know, a band choosing the same record is a little difficult because it's not the individual I'm talking to. So you both agreed on this record?
With a hive mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you both knew this record and just swear by it. You think it's a huge inspiration for you?
Yes. Morgan brought the record to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually found out about the record because he used to work at... Well, Morgan, why don't you tell... I don't want to tell your story for you.
Well, so I saw these guys play, like, at this place, PA's Lounge in Somerville, Mass, which is like, the club holds like 50 people. It's like, it's about as much of a shithole as you could imagine.
And when was that?
This was...
I'm assuming it was like 2005 when the record came out.
Yeah, it would have been right around that time. Like sometime right around early 2000s.
Okay.
My friend's band was playing this band Inverkaren, who they were Codetta for same band. They changed names at some point. I went to see them. And basically, it was like them and like 10 other people went to the show. And these guys showed up. They're from like South Carolina or Georgia?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Alabama, right. Somewhere in the South. Like super quiet, had like not much to say. They got up and like they could have been playing to a room of, you know, like 5,000 people. And like basically like everybody, you know, out of the 10 people who were there, like 5 people were outside smoking cigarettes, and the 5 of us who were like there actually like were just like, holy shit. Like they were fucking awesome.
Right.
And like I think all of us bought something from them, you know, because like they weren't going to even make gas money, you know what I mean? Because there was nobody at the show. It was unfortunate. It's like the place they played is just like a total fucking dump. And it's not even there anymore, right, Nicholas? I hate it.
Well, it's there, but the guy changed the name, like he self-gentrified. So it's called something like the Somerville Town Pub or something, and it's got like, yeah.
That guy was a fucking crook. Anyhow, sorry, excuse my language, but
no, you can say it. I hope he hears it. He gave
Right.
my wife such shit about where she parked all the time. She used to work behind his building.
Yeah. Anyway, so no love lost about that club, but basically we knew they weren't going to make any money. So like everybody who saw them like bought at least one thing from them.
Oh, that's cool.
and this would have been when their first record came out, like Operation Chair Sit. I think they were touring on that record.
Oh,
and then like a year later or something, this record that we're going to talk about, the Battle Hymns for the New Republic, came out. And like basically I've been obsessed with their two records since then.
Okay.
Like still on pretty heavy rotation. Like
but
one of those.
You brought it to me through Battle Hymn, and
Yeah.
you specifically brought it to me. You said, I want you to hear this, 2 guitars and drums, because you just introduced me to, what was it, Zenigava or something?
Yeah.
And you just introduced that to me, and then you were like, now for a different take on that, I want you to hear this part. And it's on this record where, what is the name of it? It's like Major something or other. I should probably have it in front of me. If I'm gonna be
the hymn of the Majuscule or whatever?
Yeah, like Majuscule Hymn or something. But you put it on, you were like, you think the song's over, don't you? The song is not over. And you were like, just wait for it. And I'm like, it sounds like I'm listening to feedback while I'm driving. And you're like, just listen, just wait. And then the song comes back. And I was like, ooh. And so that was my inauguration to them. And I think that Morgan and I share a bond because it's his band. And we play shows with people, and sometimes we'll mention him. And it doesn't seem like they're well known.
No.
Nobody's heard of them.
I don't think anyone's heard of them. As a matter of fact, so I was doing the research. I'm just going to mention this now because it's just super cool. I thank you guys for reaching out to me and asking to do this, and like because I wanted to hear your band, and then I always am interested in hearing and like learning about what it is that makes people tick, you know. So I looked into this record after you told me about it, and there's nothing. There is nothing anywhere.
It's hard to find even streams of it.
Yeah, and there's not even lyrics anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and now you guys obviously know this music. How hard is it to grasp what the singers are singing?
I can definitely make out some of it.
Some
you
of
know,
it, sure.
like right enough that like in some songs I can sort of get an idea of what he's getting at. And he definitely has like some pretty good turn of phrase in a few points. But like, could I tell you the lyrics to like an entire set of lyrics to one song? No.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So that was a problem.
He sings a lot clearer on this record.
Yes.
Than
that was the big change from Operation Chair Sit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, so I had a hell of a time with this record. So much so that I actually looked into the band. I found out that it was the 3 pieces. It was David Hickox, Daryl Jacks, and I'm forgetting the drummer's name right now. Brad something.
Brad Davis, I think.
Yeah, Brad Davis, correct. So I actually tried to look for those guys, and I found David Hickox.
Right.
And I actually reached out to him and messaged him.
No shit.
Yeah, and he was cool. He responded, but he wasn't able to get me any lyrics. But he did actually tell me a little bit about the record, because I was just like, anything you can tell me would be really helpful, because there's nothing anywhere. Like, there's a bunch of really bad reviews online, and like there's some good ones too. But it's just like, that's it. There's just like reviews from like some weird publications. And there's no lyrics anywhere, so it's hard for me to kind of analyze these songs, like, because I don't know what the words are. I don't know what he's saying exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, he has yet to get me any lyrics, but I was able to like kind of piece it together. And what he told me, I was just like, oh, okay, I actually wasn't too far off. Like, that's great. I'm glad that I actually like kind of analyzed it as best I could with what little I knew.
I'm on the edge of my seat. You got to tell me what he told you.
I mean, he didn't really say much. We've only been in contact for the past couple of days, and like I asked him about lyrics kind of specifically because I couldn't find them anywhere. And I don't know if you guys have copies of this on CD, right?
I do. Yeah.
And did that jacket have any lyrics in it? I'm assuming it didn't.
I don't think it did. Did. Or if it did, it was like very sparse. You know, like no full lyrics to anything. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Just a few phrases here and there or something.
Right.
Well, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I told him, like, I was going to talk to you guys tonight, and I don't know. He just wasn't able to get them to me. I imagine he probably hasn't even looked at these lyrics in over a decade, maybe. I mean, it came out in 2005. Right. That band broke up, I think, shortly after.
Right.
And They've done some other things, I guess. Specifically, David Hickox and Daryl Jacks went on to form some other bands. But
I don't think Daryl Jacks did. I think the drummer and I think it was David Hickox and the drummer Brad or whatever.
Brad Davis, yeah.
They played with Dan Sartin, who he did like a record on Swami Records, which is like the guy from John Reese, who was in
Drive Like Jehu. Yeah.
And Drive Like Jehu. It's his record label, which that's pretty rad,
Yeah.
But like I think the other guy didn't do anything after this. Like I think this was his one and only band or whatever.
There was one release I found, and I can't remember the name of the band right now because I didn't keep a note of it. But the two of them, David and Daryl, worked on some other band. It kind of seemed like a kind of a joke band, though. It seemed like something that was more like really, really loose, like not too serious. Very different style of music too, I think. But yeah, so I'm assuming these guys just really don't play music anymore. But
it's so weird when bands do that, when they have such a profound quality to them, and then they just disappear. No, the guys are like, yeah, I just work around my house now.
Right. But see, I actually kind of really love that too, because I mean, Bedtime Magic is an independent band. I've been in some independent bands before, and I've put out some records, but who the fuck knows what record I put out? Like a few people, but of those few people that may have bought it, I hope somewhere deep down inside of me that those people really love it and would say this record is an amazing record.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why David responded to my message, because I was just like, these guys that I'm going to talk to quoted that this record is influential to them. I mean, because that would make my day if someone told that to me,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's it's an honor. It's an honor to have people, whoever they are, because obviously he doesn't know you guys, you don't know him, and you found his record and you love it. It's great.
Yeah. It's really good.
I think that's part of the dream, right? Is that
making an impact more so than making riches, right?
Right. Like if, I can communicate something, if we can communicate something that's meaningful to somebody else, that's shit, man. That'd be great. That's, it sort of blows my mind, people who can play music and then just sort of fall out of that. And so I used to play in the 90s, I played in this band called Coleman, which we were sort of the beginning of screamo type, before it was called that. We were sort of on the first wave of that stuff and somewhat influential, I guess. And the lady Jackie who sang for that band, when Coleman stopped, she went back to she moved back to Ohio and went to graduate school, and she never played music again. And I've talked with her about it. And she was just like, yeah, that was the band I needed to do, and I don't need to do another one.
Weird.
And the guitarist for that band, it was just guitar, drums, and Jackie who sang. The guitarist, this guy George, who actually just passed away, unfortunately, about 2 years ago. Pretty tragically, had a stroke. It's he's got a young daughter. It was pretty sad.
Yeah.
But he got back in touch with me a few years ago and was like, dude, we gotta play again. And I was like, George, I'd love to play music with you, but there's no way Jackie's gonna do it. And he was like, yeah, we'll get her to. And I was like, and I reached out to her again, and she was just like, Morgan, that was what I needed to do then, and that's not what I need to do now. It's
yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I can respect that, but it's also if I didn't play music, I don't know what the fuck I'd do with myself.
I tried it for a year, and it was the worst year that I've ever gone through.
Right. Before Nicholas and I started playing again, I had quit a band, and it had been 6 months or so since I had played, and like I play the drums, and like it started to freak me out. And my wife, like I would, it was when we first started dating or whatever. But I would like talk with her about it. My hands looked wrong because like I had calluses on my hands from playing the drums since I was 10 years old.
Oh.
And like the calluses were going away. And like, so like even looking at my hands, I was like they don't look right. Like this, like I don't feel right in my own fucking body because like I need to play. Like, and
wow.
So that was like when I ended up, Nicholas and I ended up meeting up, but
Yeah. So when did you guys meet up?
2013, I think.
13.
Yep, that's correct.
And so what was the circumstance that you guys kind of got together?
Nicholas put an ad on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right? He was looking for somebody with smooth hands.
I said smooth hands into what's that term that I'm yiffing? No, I said that I put up this ad and I said I wanted to do a band that sounded like Man is the Bastard or like I don't know, a bunch of like proto hardcore like grindy things. And we played together. I had a song kind of pre-written so I could try people out. Like, yeah, I didn't want to be like, hey, let's play some covers because fuck that.
Right.
And I played the song, and he had a really good beat that he came up with, but it was not the beat that I wanted. And I went, oh, hey, man, actually it's more like a 4/4 kind of thing. And he just like was ignoring me. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And I went, oh, okay.
But he was trying to tell me to play like the straight like punk rock beat, like to play like the Ramones beat.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that beat. Like, fucking many of the greatest songs of all time have that beat.
Sure.
But this song did not need that beat at all. And he was like, no, we'll try it. And I was just like,
the
no.
fucking pair of brass balls. I just met you, and you just ignored me and went, "No, I'm not going to do that." And I went, "Okay, we should definitely play together. Then this is the right move."
Yeah.
Right. Well, like if you had been insistent, I would have been like, "Cool, dude, take your shitty punk rock song and shove it up your ass."
Yeah, it's like poker. You got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. So.
Right. Oh, so it seems that it worked out pretty well. So did you guys know each other prior to that, or no? That was your first meeting.
We did know each other.
Okay.
Morgan, I used to work at a coffee shop. I worked there for about 10 years called 1369. The best was when customers would come in and say, was that the year you were founded? And I'm like, yeah, it's a coffee shop here in America that was founded in 1369. You got it. That's how this works. But we were at 1369 Cambridge Street. That's why we were called it. But
That
I worked
makes
there.
so much more sense.
Doesn't it? And this guy would come in and I don't know if you ever worked in the coffee industry, but people when somebody's a regular and they have a regular drink and it's an easy drink, you love them because they're just in, they're out, it's great. You know what to charge them. You can have it ready when you see them. He always got a Thai iced tea, but he would high five everybody on staff, like the whole staff. Like if you were working in another room, you'd have to come out and give him a high five. He was the high five guy. So when he answered my ad, I went, "You're the high five guy." And I think that's the nice thing about meeting Morgan is I've gradually learned over the years that he's as weird as I am. He just hides it well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he came into practice one day and he was like, "You know how you liked?" Oh, I was like, "Damn, it's so hot, and I don't like wearing long pants when I play music." And he's like, "Have you ever considered a wrestling singlet?" And we both laughed. And then he said, "Yeah, I ordered us some pug wrestling singlets." And I was like, "I'm not wearing that." And he's like, "You're gonna wear it." And I was like, "I'm not fucking wearing it, dude." And
now
then
you wear it all the time.
I wear it. Yeah, we wear it every time we play.
Right. He was really dead set against it, like really not gonna have it.
Yeah.
And then we wore it the first time, and people fucking freaked the fuck out for it, and they were into it. And he was like, "All right, this is the thing."
So what came first, the dog motif or the singlet?
The dogs.
Okay, so you got the singlet based on the motif of like this dog's theme you have going on with your band.
Yeah.
That's another Morgan moment right there. Like he's got these genius ideas sometimes that kind of come out of completely left field.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Listen, man, I'll do some artwork for our demo, but like, what's our theme? Like, is it skulls?" Or he's like, "Well, we have three things in common. We like sex, we like pizza, and we like dogs." And he was like, "And I think pizza and sex have all been overdone." I was like, "Okay, we're dogs now."
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild. Huh. Well, I mean, hey, it makes sense, right? I mean, you gotta find that commonality, right?
Yeah.
Especially it's a two-piece. I mean, like, I think your personalities make up so much of what your band is like.
Yeah.
So listening to the new record, by the way, I just wanted to mention this because I was listening to it very closely, and I listened to some of the other older material too, and it seems that you guys are kind of like at that point where you're melding, you're kind of changing, you're in your chrysalis, if you will, right? So like the new record coming out is actually kind of a little bit more proggy, right? And that's a change. You got a few songs that are very long, like 3 minutes long plus, which is
an opus for us.
Yeah, it's a strain. It's just a stray for you guys.
Right. Well, so yeah, I think definitely the first record was just sort of like everything we had written up to that point. And this record was definitely more like more thought out. I think more of a complete sort of idea.
Even more so than like the last record, Pillow Talk?
Yeah.
Pillow Talk, that's the one he's saying is like we went into that saying that should be more like our live set. That should be all the stuff that we play and how we play it live.
Right.
Yeah. And so this record, there's the new record, Between the Sheets, there's actually only one song on it that we had played live previous to recording it. Because like a couple of those things had been written sort of as pandemic was like right before pandemic started. And then we ended up writing the rest of the record like since pandemic. So there's really only one song that had ever been played before people.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Which definitely we were then sort of like, oh shit, how are we going to pull this off, man? Like
oh yeah, because you haven't played it live yet.
So we've played a bunch of it now, but yeah,
okay.
We have Nicholas is probably more of a skilled musician than I am. I'm often sort of hanging on by the, by the skin of my teeth. And so there was pretty continuously, like I'll make a record and it's like, there's a couple things on it that I'm like, I can do it, but it's sketchy. And there's definitely a bunch of stuff on this record that it was like, I'm going to have to practice that shit because like it's hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would not have expected that at all. I mean, I think that you guys both seem to be very, capable musicians. You seem to obviously take on a lot. Nicholas, your bass playing, you kind of do some kind of like A-B thing, I think, with your amps or something. So you kind of capture both trebly high ends and low ends. And so you kind of like your one guitar, your one bass sounds like multiple guitars.
Yeah, it's also the style of playing that I do. I used to listen to a lot of like old bluesy stuff, and I got into that. And everybody that plays a stringed instrument, I'm sure, has like a bluesy phase or whatever. But I always thought it was really neat how they could make it sound like it was like a rhythm section and a lead section at the same time on one acoustic guitar. And I taught myself to do that for another band that I was in called The Taste of Silver, because it was just guitar, kind of like Coleman. It was guitar, drums, and vocals. And I tried to reapply that to the bass, and it's a whole nother world. Like, when you play an instrument, right?
Yeah, bass primarily.
You play bass, okay. So then you know that sometimes adding in like a fifth on a bass can sometimes really muddy what you're trying to do, and sometimes an octave on a bass can actually sound more pronounced than it does on a guitar. It can almost take on a life of its own. So I really had to go back in and reapproach the way that I played like a string instrument. Because if you listen to CPAP, there's not a lot of magic in the way that I'm playing. But if you listen to the stuff on the new record, all of that's on one bass. I mean, there's nothing that I can't do on one bass. So.
And Nicholas, were you always a bass player, or did you play anything beforehand?
I played guitar for the majority of my life.
Okay. And when did you start playing?
When I started playing guitar?
Well, it was the first instrument that you picked up?
No, now to walk back on what I said, the first instrument I picked up was bass, but I did not play it well, and I did not learn it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I picked it up because my mom asked the music teacher at my school what instruments I could play for free, and he pointed to an upright bass and said, nobody wants to carry that around. So my mom said, "Hey, I signed you up for band." And I go, "Oh, I'm gonna play saxophone. I'm so excited." She goes, "No, you're gonna play this thing." And I said, "Oh, that's unfortunate." So I just sort of messed around. And then my friend, one day we were listening to the radio, and we were like, "Man, we could do this." He's like, "Why don't we do it?" And he's like, "I always wanted to play bass." And I go, "All right, I guess I'll teach myself guitar." And that's what happened then. I was about 13, maybe 12. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we should get on to the record that you guys chose. But before I do that, I want to ask you one question about the new record, because I was listening to it and I was really getting into it. The one song, "Fitted Queen." What's going on with the end of that song? Whose idea was the end of that song?
I mean, it was kind of like a mix. Like Morgan's got one approach to it, and I have one approach to it, and Andrew had another approach to it. And
Andrew
I think
was the producer.
He was the producer, and we gave him a ton of freaking room to explore.
Okay, yeah. So I was wondering, didn't know if he had any influence on it, because he's a very successful producer. Has produced a number of like really, really influential records and bands. I don't remember his discography off the top of my head right now, but a bunch of like really great music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Andrew Schneider he's a great dude. He is really good at his job. A pleasure to work with. Like really, I don't know if I ever really want to record with anybody else. Like he is totally top notch, and he's done a lot of really. He's been in some really great bands and recorded some really great records. Right. Yeah, and we had a couple ideas for that. That's really probably the only like recording magic stuff that like is on any of our records. Like there's sort of the end of that song. We basically were like remix it like as it's going, and like we had a couple ideas of sort of like. I wanted to hear like some like dub reggae sort of echo on the snare drum, like I was like, can you get that to like, like you hear the snare drum drop and then you can hear it echo back a bunch, I was like, give me some of that. So it's like almost confusing where you can't tell where the real snare drop is,
Right.
And then Nicholas had some other ideas, and we were just basically like, we're going to just play and like, we're going to keep on going, and then like you do whatever the hell you want to do with it. Like, and so he did some pretty, there's like, we did some stuff to mess up the time on it a little bit.
And I think for us, you mentioned that this record, the chrysalis concept and stuff, I think for us, it's always about challenging yourself. And I think that's why I appreciate Morgan's thought process and how it at times will be in parallel with mine, but at other times it'll be in direct, there'll be not dissonance, but because we'll do stuff like we did Between the Sheets, and we're like, this is a listenable record. Pillow Talk was like our live record. Now we have a record you can put on and sit down and listen to. And now our plan for the next LP is to do the opposite, to have something that's stimulating, or it's just feels like it's way too arousing. And I know I said arousing, and I mean the word arousing.
Sure. Yeah. Music can and should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. From song to song, you should challenge yourself in a way that makes it seem like you are surprised just as much as the listener might be surprised.
Right. Let's get into it, shall we? So Plate 6 was formed in Birmingham, Alabama in 1995 as a 4-piece rock outfit. By 91 or 99, they kind of broke up, and then the 2-piece, Daryl and David, regrouped with, and after they found Brad Davis to take on the drums, 1999, and I think that's where you guys kind of like picked up with them and started hearing their records. I think that was the lineup that recorded basically everything that they have. So, Battle Hymn for the New Republic came out in 2005, and like I said, there's fucking nothing about it anywhere except for some reviews. I gotta say thank you to David, by the way, if he's listening to this, just for reaching out to me, just for responding to me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to know that I was kind of there. I was kind of at that point. I told him specifically, I was just like trying to analyze this record, because I don't have any lyrics or anything about the making of it or the band or anything like that. It was kind of like trying to do a puzzle missing pieces. You know, like I felt like, oh, it's like I can kind of see it here, but it's just like, but it's just not done. Like I just don't know what it is, you know? So we'll do our best with it. I found a review. Yeah, okay, there was a review from The Skinny, which is a UK publication. The title of the review was Psychedelic Sludge Punk Rock Without the Money Shot.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like, the body of the article says all good things about the band and this album, but then it, like, heavily rags on the singer's inability to sing or convey emotion, which I was like, that's not even right.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of
Right.
off.
Right. And definitely, like, this record in comparison to their first record, like the vocals, like his singing ability and his ability to like write vocal melody and stuff is like a huge jump. It's a huge, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, for screaming too. I mean, like between him and Daryl, I mean, they do some vocal exchange, and it's screaming. It's a lot of screaming, you know. But even still, it's just like, you know, there's the comparison here that, you know, influences for Plate 6 are Sonic Youth, Unwound, Farraquet, Fugazi, and Frodis. And I could hear that Fugazi for sure. I was just like, the way he sings is no different than any other like hardcore punk singer that I've ever heard. You know, I mean, like I don't see it as being strained or lacking emotion or anything like that. I mean, that this review is just fucking bunk.
right.
All right.
Feels like they have a bone to pick, if anything.
Right, but I mean, like, but at the same time, we all acknowledge that Plate 6 is a you know, relatively unknown band. It's a very independent and obscure band.
Yeah.
So why would these reviewers be? I don't know. I guess, you know,
Could have owed him money or something, or
yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just really poor writing. It's just poor, like, sloppy writing, I think.
I mean,
and I would even say, so this is one of the things I really like about this record is the vocals of it.
yeah, that change from the last record to this, I actually prefer singing on this.
So, all right, let's get into the record. Now, the first track is Hymn for Shedding Rust, which is an instrumental. It's just kind of an intro into the record. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that, and we're going to go on to As the Pinson Turns.
Good song.
So yeah, it gets pretty difficult right off the bat as far as words and stuff is concerned. You know, we've been talking a lot about the lyrics of these songs and how it's kind of hard to make them out. So anyone that's listening to that heard that first little part, you can hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, like sort of talking, you know, the interplay between the two guitars really is like, they do some really amazing stuff on this record. Like that, just like part of why I was sort of obsessed about this record for a long time is that like sort of every time I listen to it, I hear something new. And like, I'm not a person who plays a noted instrument, but like I've been playing in bands for a long, long time. So like I can hear there's stuff like, so at the beginning of this, there's one guitar that sort of, you know, is sort of holding maybe more of what would be the bass line. And the other guitar is playing a counter line to it, but it's varying every time. Like, it's not like he plays the same counter line 4 times in a row. It's like, it's mostly the same each time, but like, you know, we'll say like, you know, if it's a 4-measure phrase, like on measure 3 and 4 of each one, there's always a few notes that are different or like a rhythmic change, like every time. I don't know. It's like, so not only are they playing 2 separate things, but like that is also moving in and of itself, you know, like, and they do it through the whole record that it's just like,
right.
And it's not like heavy metal, like guitar wankery, you know what I mean? It's not like, look at how fast I can move my fingers, but like it's very complex, you know, without sounding like dream theater or like, you know, it's not complex for the sake of complexity, you know, like.
Right. Now, so what I kind of got onto, or what I was starting to think about, analyzing this record is that this kind of is like an emo record. Is that correct? Do you guys agree with that?
I don't know.
Sort of. Yeah, it's got some of those moments. Yeah.
So, some style of it. There's something melding in there. It's a kind of hardcore, screamo, emo.
I feel like it's kind of like what is your thought on, like, say, Superchunk or Jawbox? Like, if you would say that that's emo, then I guess they're emo. But I feel like it's more in like that realm of things.
Yeah. I would call those guys like Superchunk and Jawbox more like indie rock. I think this has like some of the earnestness that like the earlier emo stuff had,
So maybe the confusion for me is that it's kind of prog rockish, and I think
times,
and I think that a lot of emo bands kind of lean kind of heavily on prog.
Yeah.
But it's usually more of like a kind of melodic sense, like a little bit more harmony in places. So maybe prog rock is more suitable for this record.
It's a tough one because it seems like if this was a starting point for people, I think that that would be the thing they pick up on as they're building these melodies. But I almost get the sense that they did that as them exploring how to make this relationship between all three members work. Like, I don't see the melody as being what they're searching for. I see it as where they ended up. So I guess for me, that's why I'm seeing it so differently, is like I still hear that hardcore band, but I see them as just trying to make those songs, but using this different methodology.
So what I think, like what I kind of grasped here was like political, social, it's all there in nuanced Dungeons and Dragons kind of lyrics. Like, it's very poetic, it's very flowery, like it's very, very kind of hard to understand. Like, even the words that I did get, I was just like, yeah, these are like really like thought out lyrics. This is poetry essentially. Yeah. So I want to know, what do you guys look to when you're writing your material?
Oh, man.
Lyrically or in, like with the instrumentation? Or?
Lyrically, let's start there.
I mean, the challenge for us, or rather, let me go back on that. Rather than the challenge, I think there's sort of a program that we put in place, is that all the song titles have to be sleep references, right, Morgan? Yeah.
Right.
And everything from the name of our band, our album titles, everything's got like this double entendre thing going on.
Sure.
So, for instance, Waking Dream, that's a sleep reference. But it's also about a time in my life where I was very much into drugs and didn't have kind of a future plan, and I was trying to get my mind right. And so in that sense, it's a waking dream. So there's that darkness to the lyrics, but also kind of the silliness to the name. And then there's other things like, what else? Guestcott. Where Guestcott, you read through it and you're like, boy, these lyrics are extremely serious, but the song's just about masturbating. That Cyndi Lauper song, She Bop, her record label approached her and said, hey, you got to write a song about masturbating. And she's like, what? And so
she had to? They wanted her to?
Yeah. They said that there was all these guys that wrote songs about masturbating, and they were successful songs, so they wanted her to write a song about masturbating from a woman's perspective. So she wrote She Bop. And I always thought that was funny because I didn't know that. I thought it was about dancing. So I wrote Guestcott as it sounds like it's about like self-admonishment and about like hopelessness. But now that you go back and read it, like, I know I do this to myself is one of the lyrics. Okay, yeah, I guess that's what you're doing there, buddy. And that's also why the song goes on forever, right? Like, because it's just repetition and boring and futile. So.
Okay.
I'm sorry that jerking off is boring for you, man, and seems repetitive.
Dude,
I don't know. You got to work on that.
It's punishments.
Yeah, man, you got to treat yourself right, It's
Right.
So
you deserve the best, man. You gotta.
Maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe I need to take a class. So I think that that with our lyrics and stuff, sometimes it's about very, very serious things, and sometimes it's about things that aren't very serious at all. And we just try to make it work. But the names are always, gonna be some kind of reference, some kind of joke, some kind of double entendre, sometimes a triple entendre.
I'm just curious. Like, I was curious just where does it come from? Like, like where do you find aside from this record, aside from any record, like what do you find like brings inspiration to you?
I mean, for me, it's a lot of, it just sort of happens. Like Old Mattress was about, the whole song just sort of came together, and it was about when I was homeless for 2 years. And I think sometimes these things just lock in place. Morgan likes to say, what is it that you say, man? It's like either we spend like a year working on a song, or we get it in like 1 second and it's done, you know?
Right. Yeah. We either torture ourselves, like grinding it out, like reworking it until like it's something right, or we'll write it in one practice. Like, and there's never a split. Like it's like, right, the song either writes itself or we torture ourselves trying to
right.
You know.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next song. Concrete Mouth of Safety. That just kind of keeps on carrying on for a while there.
Yeah,
it's a good riff.
The vocals don't kick in until like a minute into the song. Which is like maybe part of why I wanted to talk about this record too, just because it's like, and maybe part of why I listen to this so much is it's so counter to anything that I like how I would play. It takes about a minute for the vocals to kick in. Like we could have played 2 songs in that time. You know, like
right. It's a different style of music, kind of like from what you guys do. Really, I mean, there's similarities, but it's different for the most part. So I'm curious, what now? Because what I said was that this record, from what I can gather, does not really a very like tight connection to what you guys do. What are some other influences of yours like that you think influence what you're doing currently?
I don't know. I think, like
what are you listening to now? Like what is your kind of current listenings?
I think like I am often more inspired by stuff that isn't really in the same genre of music that I play.
Sure, that's fine. That's why I'm asking, because I mean, you guys must have. First of all, I know you're a massive collector, so therefore, if you have a massive collection, you probably have a massive, eclectic one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, he's got a wall in his dining room, and then like a corner, like 2, that's just all records. But he's not home, so you can't see it. But it's just an incredible amount of vinyl. It must weigh a ton.
Yes, it does. It sucks to move.
Yeah, right. So, Nicholas, what about you? What are you currently listening to?
I am currently listening to what I got on my record player right now. I got Wireline's record on there, their new record. I'm into things like, what have I been listening to? Big Black songs about fucking. I've been listening to a ton of, I can never say his name right, and I looked up how to say it, and it was one of those weird phonetic things. Jeremy Enick.
Okay.
The guy from Sunny Day Real Estate, that guy?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of him. Jeremy Enick. What else have I been listening to? I woke up this morning with Dishwalla Counting Blue Cars stuck in my head. And when we went in to do Between the Sheets, I know, so weird, and I didn't want it there. Because he thought he was so edgy when he goes, "'Cause I'd really like to meet her," about God. Yeah, so I was like, ooh, you showed us. What was it? When we did this record, Andrew said, what do you guys want this to sound like? And I said King of Rock by Run DMC. And I stand by that statement. Tyler, the Creator, I've been listening to a ton. And then I saw him do the Grammys, and I was like, he nailed it with his performance. So, yeah. I guess that's what I've been listening to. Same as Morgan. We try to branch out, because if you listen to just hardcore, all your stuff turns into poo-poo.
Right. Yeah. Wait, so you said that Andrew, the producer of the last record, and Pillow Talk as well.
Yeah.
He asked you what you wanted the record to sound like, and you told him King of Rock?
That's correct. Well, originally I said Tougher Than Leather. And then I was like, well, and then I went back and I was listening to King of Rock again. And I was like, King of Rock. So if you listen, like the mastering and stuff, there's definitely this compression on the whole thing, kind of like that old record. and there's some mixing ideas where he went for the warmth of those sounds. Because that I don't know, that was such an interesting era for rap. They didn't know how to market it, and they didn't know the confines that society would accept it. So like people didn't swear yet, you know. And
right. It was still brand new. I mean, they were still brand new, exploring the whole idea of what it could be. Really, that's interesting though. I'm just kind of curious. Like, I mean, I'll have to listen to the record again with that in mind, but I'm curious, like, if and how Andrew was able to capture that with your music.
Listen to this record versus the old record, and listen to how radically he mixed them differently. It's kind of nuts because it's pretty much the same production team, except Alex Allenson was on this one, which is why I think we were able to get some more really unique sounds. Not that Andrew couldn't do that, but it's just Alex was like, "Oh, let's try this," you know. But I think the mixing is just, he took a completely different approach to this record than he did on Pillow Talk.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely I'll A/B them together.
Yeah,
playing back to back. So the next song on this record is Red the New Black. Let's listen to that. That's a decent part to stop at. All right, so Red the New Black. First thoughts of this song for me is that it's possibly dealing with some regret, possibly even some revenge. With some weird stuff going on there lyrically. First lines, as far as I can tell, are, I want to go back and start over again. If you could start this band over again, is there anything that you would change?
Wow.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, I can't say as I would. You know, I've really enjoyed everything that we've done. Even the missteps have been really good learning experiences. And I think that it's been really interesting to see so many things in a writing partner that are, like I said, similar and at times dissimilar, and just trying to, you know, if you met Morgan just on the exterior, this is not the depth that the man has, and it's really interesting every time a new layer of the onion gets peeled back. You know?
Yeah. So what is writing like between you guys?
Like 9 times out of 10, Nicholas comes in with an idea. We mess around with it for a little bit. I tell him he's doing it wrong. I make him like cut out like 3 notes from every riff.
Even though he wrote it, he's doing it wrong?
Yeah. This just happened the other day.
Right. It's true. Right. Well, he is. I mean, like, it's not how it's supposed to go. Like, right.
It's because he's taking on too much. He's trying to do the percussion as well as the two guitars.
That's just because I wrote it, and that's why it's wrong.
Like, I imagine I'm sort of a pain in the ass to play with. I think I definitely do a lot of like not necessarily creating so much, but editing. You know, like
right.
Like, so Nicholas comes in with a cow, and like I trim away all the fat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it's sort of what you know, like, you know, and then maybe we boil the fat down and you know, we make a delicious soup out of that or something. But
right. So you're like a good producer.
Yeah, he's
because you're not a writer in the sense in an instrument. Like you know, it's easy to write for guitar or bass, any kind of like stringed instrument, anything you can kind of play musical notes on. But the drums is a little different because it's not really notes. It's kind of more, it's just percussion. It's just rhythm, right? More so than anything. I mean, the drums have different tones, but it's just not the same. Like it's really hard to write something with drums.
Right. So that's usually like sort of what will happen is that he will often come in with sort of like a chord progression that he wants, and that's where like I start trimming it down. Is like no, like you play the last note, you pluck it 4 times, but only pluck it twice, and the note before that, skip it completely. You know, which I imagine is, you know, I'm a pain in the ass, but
no, I think it's good. You know, during the pandemic when we couldn't hang out before the vaccines were around, I did a solo project, and it reminded me that I need editing. Like I will, if I'm not getting edited, I get into this zone where I'll write 100 things and like maybe 4 of them are actually good, you know? And I think that's what's helpful about it. And he gets, you know, some stuff you can get by him, and then some stuff he's just like a total trap. He's just like, nope, that's not going to happen. This is how it has to be. And you go, all right. And then it's a feedback loop. I'll take that, write 100 responses to that, and then he picks the things that he likes, et cetera, et cetera. Or sometimes we just show up, don't say anything to one another, just start playing music, and it happens.
Yeah. Wild.
And occasionally I bring in stuff, but like I end up doing the like one finger on one string bass line. You know, like it kind of goes like this.
Kind of sounds like Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You know, or I'm like, it kind of sounds like this, but this has got to be higher. This has got to be lower. This, you know, like, because I can't make my fingers do what I hear, you know?
Yeah, Count Sheep, he wrote that middle section, and it was the weirdest thing. He's like, no, you want to go up high and just be like, and I'm like, what? What does that even mean? He's like, you know, like whiny and high. And he's like, you're not going to be able to do it with this setup. You're going to have to like get something to make it happen. I said, all right.
Yeah, I made him buy another guitar pedal just so we can make the right sound.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's move on to the next song, the Unmoved Mover. Sorry, that was a good part right there that I just kind of cut it off at. So the Unmoved Mover, again, very heavy, like thought-provoking lyrics from what I can make out. The few lyrics that I definitely grasped are, we are the inanimate, the useless. So that makes me wonder, do you take pride in or even consider trying to win over an immobile or apathetic audience?
That's a good question. Morgan, what's your perspective on that? Because I know my perspective, but I've never thought to ask you that.
Do you find that you actually even get in front of audiences that don't know who you are and they just don't seem into it?
We definitely often play in front of people who like have no idea what the hell is going on. And like we make an impression one way or another. And I think you know, like people are either like, we definitely have cleared some rooms. Like we are pretty crushingly loud. And so like, it's like one of those like, shit, if it ain't your thing, like people leave. And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we are doing what we're doing for us. And like we definitely put on a show or whatever, but like if people don't really like it, like I don't really give a shit.
I think for me, I don't know. I've had this philosophy for a long time. Lemmy Kilminster once said, when people go to a concert, they don't want to see normal everyday people. They want to see weirdos, monsters, freaks. They want to see, you know, and Alice Cooper said the same thing. I don't know if you can see. I got a picture of Alice Cooper up here.
Oh, is that who that is? Okay.
Yeah, it's Alice Cooper. People want entertainment. I mean, as much as we convince ourselves that we're some kind of deity or politician in the making or whatever the fuck Kid Rock or Ted Nugent or any of these people want to do, we're entertainers, and we're there to give people some kind of stimulation and excitement and energy, and to help them maybe connect with a feeling that they're having trouble connecting with for the other 364 days a year. So when I get up on stage, I like to give people a show. Like, I'll put the bass behind my head. I remember one time I put the bass in my teeth when we played at Sammy's Patio, and it felt very uncomfortable. But, you know, I try to perform the songs in a way that helps them understand that particular song. And so, in a way, that's my goal with connecting with them. Like, if they understand the song, even if they don't get the lyrics, even if they don't know what the hell we're doing up there, I think that's cool, you know?
Right.
But you know, part of it is the experience. Like Morgan has this rule, like, don't fucking jib-jab on stage. Like, we're not there to fucking talk. We're there to perform and to play these songs for you and to give you something that's a spectacle. So when we get up there, we're not like, hi, we're Bedtime Magic. We have records in the back. You know, we just get up, I play feedback. Right. 18 minutes later, we're done.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next song, which is Loosed. All right, losed. So I got a couple of the lines out of that first verse. Not all of them, but the two that stuck out to me was we built a shelter out of lies and a paradise of flashing lights. So being that time of the year kind of made me think about Christmas a little bit. What's something that you would really like this year?
I already got him his Christmas present. I left it on his snare drum, so when he goes to the practice space, I'll find
Oh, all right. And I know what Nicholas dropped some hints, so I know what I'm getting for him.
I sent to my Christmas list. We usually give each other for our birthdays grape soda. That's the big thing that we always do because neither of us drink anymore. So we're like, here's some grape soda.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We try and get like the little cans from the like you can get them at the grocery store. It's like the generic grape soda. It's like 4 ounces of grape soda.
Those are the best ones. The stubs.
Yeah.
Presents and stuff, I never really care about them. I always tell my daughter, she actually hates it because she's 6 and she wants to give me stuff. And I'm always like, I just love having you in my life. And she told Andrea, she goes, Daddy won't let me get him presents. Every time I give him presents, he gives them back. I'm like, I just don't want them.
Right. I mean, 6 years old. I mean, what kind of presents do the 6-year-olds give you? So
I have so many crayon drawings around my room. This is insane.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Every major holiday, I get a hand drawn card.
Yeah, like what are you supposed to do with that?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next song. Instant Fence. All right. Pulled it out there a little bit. So Instant Fence, let's see. So again, I'm trying to analyze lyrics. So at this point, I guess I just would like to say that, to David or any of the Plate 6 guys that might be listening, I'm sorry if I've slaughtered these things. I'm doing my best, I swear. So some of the lines that I was able to decrypt were, we rise the basket of consolation, celebrate our strengths. So what do you think are your greatest strengths? As a band. As a band, yeah.
Well, we're both very, very handsome and charming.
That helps.
Ooh,
yeah.
Charming. Yeah.
And humble. Incredibly humble. I don't know. I think we both got a pretty good sense of humor, I think. And like we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's probably like our I think.
Right? It's important. I mean, you can't get where you want to go if you're just going to be freaking out about everything.
Yeah, I think it made me think, like I think we are both largely self-taught in most aspects that not just in our ability to play music, but in most aspects as it relates to doing the band. Right? Like
yeah, the booking, the building. I mean, you built all your fucking shit, and
right.
It's like
right. It's like right. I think both of us very much from like the DIY sort of era of punk rock. Like nobody else is going to do it for you, so like you just got to figure it out.
Right.
Right. So I think that's probably like a strength that we have as a band. It's just like.
Yeah. Do you think that, because you mentioned how you both are largely self-taught, do you think that kind of, you feel more uninhibited? Do you feel like it works for you that you're not like this technically trained musician?
Yes and no. Like I think Nicholas actually does know a lot of the theory. Like you at least you pull out more of the theory than I think most. I like
yeah, and it's interesting because I know that stuff because I hit the point that you're at now a couple years ago where I was like, I have gone as far as I can go without learning more shit about how this actually works. Like if I don't start learning the actual like nuts and bolts of this, I've hit my limit. So I had to start learning like how it's actually done.
Oh, so you do feel like you were limited up until recently.
Yeah, because I would write a song and I would go, that note doesn't work, and I don't know why that note doesn't work. And a couple years ago, I was like, I have to start figuring out why that note doesn't work. Otherwise, I'm always going to get to this point where I'm like, I got a note that doesn't work, but how do I fix it? And so I started to explore that, and I started to explore what is and what isn't, and kind of retraining myself. And then Morgan's going through a lot of that right now. You know, he spent 30 odd years holding sticks the wrong way, and he's learning to hold them the right way now.
Right. I actually just started taking drum lessons in the last year.
Oh wow.
Because I sort of came up to a point where like my hands really hurt. Like in particular, my left hand like would cramp up like one or two songs into our set, and it was like I was just like holding on for dear life, you know, like trying to make it through to the end.
Wow. And it was like a simple fix to like get it the right way, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I basically just had to completely change how I did everything. But yeah, it was really simple.
Great.
But
glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I definitely, you know, like I think how I think about music. I think it's really good that I came at it sort of self-taught. You know, I learned how to be in a band from listening to records. You know, but yes, I definitely came up to some physical limitations in how I could play that like I needed somebody to help me out with it, because it was like definitely there was stuff I could do when I was younger that like now I'm in my 40s, I can't, you know, like I can't just power my way through it all the time now. And there was a lot of stuff that I can hear it in my head, but I couldn't make my body
That's the big one right there.
move.
Yeah.
Which was like frustrating for me, that I could like hear these things that I wanted to do and I couldn't physically make it happen.
That was the same thing with me, you know, because I hear the songs, but then getting them down on the instrument was always like trial and error, and I was getting fucking sick of it. I was like, why does it always have to be a guessing game? Why can't I hear it in my head and then actually just play it immediately? And once I got that, I think that there's a little bit, I think if you come from the background of having done this all the right way, then that's no good. And I think if you come from the background of having done this all the wrong way, you're going to hit some problems. I think it has to be a hybrid. Same with cooking too. You know, if you don't taste your food, you don't know what you're making. So
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next song. Let's do the Unblinking Eye. All right. Just wanted to get some of those words in there. All right, the Unblinking Eye. This song sounds like it has the most mythological background. Do either of you guys catch that?
I think you got further with the lyrics than I did on this one. I always get caught up in that opening melody line, and then I just sort of like let the song happen.
Sure.
So.
I do. I analyze too much now because it's kind of like I have to. You know, because especially for music that I'm not familiar with, it's just like that's kind of really a gateway into like where is this coming from? Like who are these people? Who's making this, and like why, and like what's their stance on some stuff? You know, I never used to do it, and I don't like it. I mean, as far as like a music listener is concerned, and like just enjoying music, like I don't do it. It's just specifically for this show, and like kind of like when I'm talking with people about it, because there's also, I think there's something psychologically like maybe a little subconscious that's happening, that there's a reason why you guys are like latched on to this music, and you think that it's, you know, influential for you. And I don't know if you'd be able to pinpoint it directly necessarily. You know, it's kind of like a therapy session. It's just like, you know, what about this is making you tick? Like what's like look at all the little nuances and stuff like that. So with that being said, I don't really have anything particularly good for this song. I kind of just like glommed onto the whole humorous aspect because let's see, so you guys certainly add humor and possibly a little absurdity to your music. So can you tell me about some of what you would consider to be your most funny or absurd songs?
Midnight Snack, right?
Yeah, Midnight Snack, probably.
Can you tell me about Midnight Snack? Because I don't know if I can pinpoint it from the discography.
Yeah, what did that even come out on? I don't even remember.
Knockover City Split.
Oh, right. Yeah, so, you know, it's either about eating food or having sex, or both.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that one, Tucked In, is about a hand job that's too hard. Snore, Snore, Store is my favorite serious, funny song because I was working at that coffee shop and I was looking at these two people at a table. They were clearly like old friends that were getting together for coffee, and one of them was telling the most asinine fucking story. Like, she was like, let me tell you something. Things could not be better between Tom and I, and the kids are amazing. They're doing wonderful. And I was like, this person's so fucking full of shit. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just people like that drive me nuts. So that's what that song's about. And it's pretty just like straightforward with the lyrics. So it was, I heard you say you love everything you do. Your life's a cakewalk and your family is too. What does it matter if you're awful? What does it matter if you can't shut the fuck up? Because it went on for a while and you could tell the other person did not want to listen.
Right.
Yeah, those type of people, it always does, and it never really stops.
It never stops. My mother's doing great. Her hip surgery was a huge success. Shut the fuck up.
All right, look, so we got one last song because we're going to skip Hymn to Denounce Time. Actually, Hymn to Denounce Time, we're not going to listen to it, but quick question, do you denounce time?
Well, it is a construct.
Yeah.
Yes, but so is language.
Whoa.
Fair enough. Touche.
You guys are exploding my brain.
All right, let's do the last song, Maximalist Anthem. All right, Maximalist Anthem. So, let's see, in closing, if this album has a theme that I've overlooked, I assume there is certainly some dissatisfaction with a number of things. Politics, governmental agency, and so forth, even personal politics types of things. And actually, David confirmed this with me, that there is no overarching theme of this record, but that there are a lot of kind of things about that in particular, dissatisfaction with just the circle that they were around in Birmingham, you know. But I do see some kind of governmental thing, some kind of like maybe dissatisfaction with government and politics. There's a couple of lines that I was able to discern. Below the bars from every flag, all but our own. And so that leads me to think of some kind of like stance on patriotism. So whether the writer's perspective is pro or against, I'd like to ask you both, in this current climate, how do you feel about our country and what we are currently dealing with?
Oof. That's a can of worms, huh?
Shit's fucked up.
Simple and to the point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, there's like forced allegiances too. Like it's like you try to be moderate, which is sort of this human inclination to borrow a little bit from column A and a little bit of column B, and people are like, no, you got to go all the way radically right or all the way radically to this perspective. And sometimes the truth is in the between, you know. Like I for one, like I'm vegetarian, but somebody who's on the other side of the aisle might see that as a left-leaning thing, but my choices to eat vegetarian like aren't motivated to make myself seem more like I'm one way or the other. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Like
No, it
I
makes
used to see
perfect
an
sense.
American flag and I just assumed the person liked an American flag or liked America. And now when I see it, I'm like, that's a racist motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't have to feel that way. It's these allegiances that happen now because of so much that's gone on, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with and understand what you're saying, because I mean, I've noticed that too, and I kind of don't know what to do about that. Like even even the idea of, you know, publicly speaking. Like I know that this is a big and kind of loaded question for anybody really at this time, but realistically, it's just like, you know, can we even speak freely? Because if we do, we're going to isolate or segregate somebody because they don't believe wholeheartedly everything that you say, or at least what you're saying in that moment. You know?
Well, you know, I think it's, you got to be willing, you know, like you got to have some vulnerability in that a willingness to acknowledge that you know, we all are going to misspeak at some point, and you know, like I think you try and sort of come to a place where you can make make some choices to communicate, like what it is that you want to communicate in a way that's going to be heard by others, right? And that's not always going to go across, but it doesn't, we are going to bump into each other a little bit, like humans are social creatures. Like that is part of how we evolved as a species, is that we are like interdependent upon one another. It's why we have the emotional makeup that we have. It's why we have the ability for complex thought. Is a lot of that is because we are dependent upon one another. So like, it's one of those ones of like, it's gonna, language is going to continue to evolve. Like how we relate to one another is going to continue to evolve. And like, I think you just try and do the best you can. I don't know. I don't think I'm not communicating it very well, but it definitely seems like there is a certain amount of pride that people have in how mean they can be to one another.
Right.
And that has become sort of more accepted and more like it's okay now.
Right. Like witch hunting.
Like that's the part that I really struggle with. And
to bully the bullies back, but then you're bullying too,
Right. And it's just like how nasty people can be to one another is like,
right.
Right.
So,
it's
so
like
the way I'm understanding what you're saying is that it seems like that from the two different kind of like polar opposite sides that the country is divided into, there's constant witch hunting on either side.
There you go.
This side is witch hunting. This side is being like, we cannot stand this. We don't like it. We we just want to get rid of this. We want to eliminate this.
And how good are you at tormenting your adversary? How good are you at exposing their flaws? And
right.
How is that a way to live?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of making us reach a boiling point. I feel like, something's got to give, and I just kind of hope that it's not for the worse. I hope it's not like a detrimental and devastating circumstance.
If you look at the fact that this is a country, quote unquote, and that we're all supposed to unify on an idea, but there's so much space, and what's right for us here in Massachusetts isn't what's right for somebody in Montana. But we're trying to unify them and say, oh, we're all the same. We should all have the same, laws and all this. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I don't think this was a good idea. This manifest destiny was not a good idea to begin with, Like I don't understand why we all have to be under one program when the people in California obviously have a totally different worlds happening than I have here. So why take what's happening to me here and make it impact them? Like, how is that helpful to anybody,
And then it just makes me think, like, well, why can't we all just get along?
Why can't we? Yeah.
I mean, that's a sincere actual statement. I mean, like, it's kind of a joke.
I dig it, but the Rodney King meant that as a sincere statement too. Like,
right. But I think that it's true. I mean, it's really the only good answer is that we all just need to kind of like relax and just try to be more understanding towards each other. Kind of like what you were saying, Morgan, earlier about like the understanding and identifying language. So, that's kind of like what everybody needs to focus on, I think, is inclusivity.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't want to kind of hammer on about the whole politics and stuff. I know it's a difficult and touchy subject for many people, but I did want to ask you guys about the show that you have coming up at O'Brien's, right?
Yeah.
It's on the 16th?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know more about it than me. This is awesome.
Really?
It's just been a busy month. So.
Well, I know that it's the official release of the split with Greylock, right?
Finally, right?
Yeah.
Because it took a long time to get here.
Yeah. Right. We, there was a major plague that happened sort of in between, so sort of fucked up our social calendars for a little bit.
It's not right.
How often have you been playing since like post-pandemic?
This will be our third show. Yeah, I think our third show. Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to do like one a month, one every other month. I mean, we're gonna pick up the pace when it seems safe to do so, but we don't want to put people in awkward, compromising positions.
Sure.
And
So,
we get time.
Is touring in the cards at all, or what?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be. We got too many things on our freaking dance card right now, right?
Yeah. But both of us being like parents and stuff, like gone are the days of like spending 5 weeks in a van. Like.
Dude, that shit sucked anyway. I just want to do like a week here and there that's like fun and gets the name out. That shit fucking sucked. I would come home so in debt, so sunburned.
It didn't suck. You loved it.
No, it was fun, but like my stomach hurt. I had like 3 weeks of poops that didn't happen yet,
Right. We were miserable, but we were also like in our 20s and dumb as shit, So like, whatever, man. Like, you wouldn't trade it. You wouldn't trade it for anything,
Dude,
but it's definitely not where we're at right now. So like, we will be doing like a little bit of touring, but it's probably going to be like a week here, a week there, long weekends and that sort of stuff.
Regional stuff, like kind of maybe down to like North Carolina or something like that. Carolinas up north to Maine.
Yeah, that's the easy stuff, and we're trying to plan some stuff where we can get to the middle states right now, because we haven't really hit them. Last time we went out, we went down to Philly, and then pre-pandemic, we were planning kind of the same jaunt, because you can do that in a weekend, and if your kid gets a cold or something, you can drive home in one night. Right. But then the pandemic happened, we had to fucking put the chop on that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we have to look forward to for this coming? By the time this comes out, it'll probably be this coming weekend. Right, your show at O'Brien's with Greylock.
Be so sick, dude. People can pre-order that new LP. I strongly suggest they do that, because there was a lot of stuff with like Pillow Talk tapes and stuff where people were like, "Hey, can I get a tape?" And I was like, "I don't have any tapes anymore. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you snooze, you lose." Right. And then we're also on a compilation with 1 million really good bands, and the money was originally to raise money for Tony Giacomi from this band, Charlotte, North Dakota. He was fighting cancer. Unfortunately, the cancer took over. So now we're trying to give the money to his family to help with funerary costs and things.
Right. Wow. Where can you get that?
That's on the Charlotte, North Dakota Bandcamp. So it's like charlottenorthdakota.bandcamp.com, and it's called Rhino Body Lover. And it's all new stuff from everybody. There's no old tracks that people threw on there. So it's pretty hip.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Learning Curve Records out of Minnesota. They're distributing it in the U.S. And on the spot, right?
No List.
What's
no
that?
List. No List is the other one.
No List Records in Canada are doing it. So like nobody's seeing any money. That it's all going to go to the family.
Right. That's great.
There's some pretty awesome bands that are on it. So like it should be. We've heard a bunch of it already. I haven't heard all of it, but like, it's pretty damn good.
Okay, and for a good cause,
Yeah.
That's great. I was gonna say that it's been a pleasure talking with you guys. I'm really glad that we were able to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I had a great time, man. And just so you know, you have an amazing radio voice. Like, it's so soothing.
Oh, thanks, man. I gotta get real close to the mic like that.
Yeah, you got like a Bedtime Magic voice. So.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I'll gladly do whatever you want for any of your records.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, buttery smooth, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the magic voice.
I certainly did not plan that. I certainly did not plan on ever doing this. I never thought I would ever have some kind of like program or anything. Never went to college, never did the radio thing, like nothing.
Oh, really? I was actually thinking this whole time that you did a college radio show.
Nope. Yeah. Never. It's weird. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck.
Good pacing, good ups and downs.
It's just practice, man. Just like anything. Just like being in a band. Like I've been doing this for like 3 years now, so.
Yeah, get good at it.
Getting better. Yeah. Every time. Every day you get a little better.
All right, well, thank you very much, James. Appreciate it, man.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you. I love it.